Good morning. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all doing good. I'm a few minutes early, but I was messing with the computer and then I'm there. So I can't complain. Just waiting for somebody to come in. So, so I said hello to myself. Just want to make sure I'm working here. I hope this is finding everyone well today. It's been a busy morning for me already. I'm sure it has for you too. I borrowed a cup of coffee this morning. Uh-oh, it's backwards. This says boss lady. This is my daughter-in-law's cup. Except it's not made for a right hand. I mean, it's not made for a left-handed person. It's made for a right-handed person. So that's where the little lip thing here is. I'm early today. There's a cow in the back. Look, I got animals. I'm gonna have to send somebody a message. Am I on a delay? Can y'all hear me when you get in here? Okay. I'm just cutting soap today. Anybody want to see soap? This is turmeric and paprika. Smells clean and fresh. Hmm. So far, nobody has found me. I'm a few minutes early. I could read from my 101 Bossy Cow jokes for those who are watching replay, then you won't have to just hear me babble on. These some funny jokes. Let's see, where did I end up? Here's where I ended up. Cow crossing. If you cross two cows and a flock of ducks, what would you get? Milk and quackers. If you crossed a cow with a goat, what would you get? Half and half. If you crossed a cow with an insect, what would you get? That's scary. Mosquitoes. Oh, some of our mosquitoes are pretty large. If you crossed a cow with Michael Jackson, what song would you get? Beep it. Going to the movies. Close Encounters of the Curd Kind. The Sound of Music. The Godfather. Young Frankensteer. Hoof-framed Roger Rabbit. Stand by Moo. And Cow Roddy Kid. Favorite celebrities of all time would be Frank Sinatra, Moo Donna, Katharine Hepburn, Moulin Barndo, that would be Marlon Brando, I guess. Bully D. Williams, Liz Taylor, spelled Tailor, Shirley MacLaine for Shirley MacLaine. Katharine Hepburn was Katharine Hepburn, if for those who are too young to know who she is. Your brand of humor. Where do steers go to dance? To the meatball. Why don't cows ever have money? Because the farmers milk them dry. Where do Russian cows come from? Moscow. Where do Danish cows come from? Copenhagen. What magazine makes cows stampede to the newsstand? That would be Cosmopolitan. Who's in here? What has four legs and goes Hey, Christy Betts, how are you? I'm just reading out of my cow bossy jokes. I'm entertaining myself while we're waiting on someone. What has four legs and goes a cow walking backwards. I'm not real sure why that is. So how are you doing, Christy? Hey, Joan, how are you? So nice to see you. Cow jokes. Yeah, I found this book. I don't know if you were on here. My ex-son-in-law, he found this book in the attic of the house that we used to live in. It was a whole box of books. Although my husband is still looking for his Peanuts books, so he's pretty sure they're still up there. We moved from that house back, I don't know, in the 90s. So trying to stay warm up here. Oh, what's the temperature, Christy? Yeah, I have to entertain myself. I got on a little bit early just to make sure that I got on time today. So I was just reading jokes to myself. So everybody who watches replay is just going to get to hear me read Jokes. Um, anyway, our temperature today, I believe it got down to 48, and it's gonna be maybe 75 today, so it's not gonna be really hot. Um, sunny. We don't expect any rain for several days, and it's probably gonna be just showers anyway. So I'm excited, and I'm really hoping that it holds off until Saturday, after Saturday, because that's when my Arts and Crafts Festival is. And I've made a lot of soap, and I have some other things. Christy says it's nice right now, but has been dropping around 40 at night. Oh, wow. Okay, 15 Celsius. Yeah, yeah, there. Thank you. I had to stop. I had to use my little calculator to figure that out, Joan. Where are you at, Joan? Are you in the States, the lower 48? Or are you over the pond? Usually, if somebody, Canada, I've been to Canada several times. You want to know my favorite? BC. My, well, I haven't only been like from Buffalo over into Canada, and then from Michigan over into Canada. And then my favorite was going to Victoria. It was so cool. We were on our trek of going across all of the states, the lower 48, and we were going to go to Montana. And we thought, shoot, we're almost to Canada. Let's just go to Canada. And we had a month, and it was really Vancouver Island. Oh, nice. Yes, we were going to, and once we actually flew in there, we were going to take a cruise up to Alaska. So I've actually been to Victoria and twice, but we stayed in an old historical motel. We had to go up 3 flights of stairs. Whoo, that was some steep stairs. But it made me appreciate elevators. And of course, we were dragging our that time we were dragging our suitcase because we were going on a cruise for 7 days, 10 days. So each one of us had our own suitcases, and it was really nice though. It was the prettiest little place, and I can't remember. You're an hour from Victoria. Oh, that is just beautiful country up there. Absolutely beautiful. Um a couple of the other times we went, my husband had a meeting or something, and I didn't really get to do any sightseeing. I just rode up there just to say I rode up there. Um, when we were in Buffalo, we went over into Canada, I guess to see Niagara Falls. We wanted to see it from that side. So it was really beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I haven't been anywhere really. I guess it's been a year, not counting going to California over the summertime. But before that, it was another year. So, um, but I'd like to do some more traveling. But first, we got to get that farmhouse remodeled. Um, I'm still cleaning out the office. Our shower has been framed in. Today actually going to the hardware store to get some things that I need to refinish my antique bathtubs. I'm going to do them both at the same time because they're both a different shape and they have different legs. And I honestly don't know which one that I want to use until I fix them up. And I might as well fix them both at the same time since I'm working on it. Um, I will sell one of them that I don't use. Um, Good morning, Gummy Doolittle. How are you? I thought you were at the doctor's office, so I didn't think I would see you today. Um, how is the weather where you're at? We've got some pretty cool weather all over with the folks in here today. Um, but So I am looking for the materials to refinish this bathtub. I'm pretty sure that both of them are in the range of from 1900 to 1920s or 30s. So they're pretty old, and one of them could actually be a little older because the feet are really um, unusual. There is one that has the claw and ball, so you can actually see that. And where the other one is just plain, I mean, is smooth. It almost looks like a ball, but it has no claws or anything. So I don't know which came first. I couldn't find any markings other than a couple of um, numbers, but I don't know what they mean or anything. Donna says, oh, she just got out of pre-op. She's having surgery on her trigger finger. Weather is 72 and the high is going to be 95. Okay, so you're going to get pretty warm today. Pretty warm. So I mean, we're expecting some really nice weather today. I moved some chickens around yesterday, some younger chickens, and I've got a couple of nannies that are expecting, but I think it's still going to be a month away. So we're not expecting any babies right now. Yes, Christy, thank you for reminding everyone. Don't forget the thumbs up. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. And so, yeah, uh, Donna says it's going to be warm for 8 to 10 days, waiting on cool weather. Oh my gosh, I love the fall. And just because I used to work outside in the summer all the time, I did landscape. I did some minor landscaping, cut grasses and stuff like that. But gosh, I think that was like 20 years ago. But but I did work outside and I always enjoyed it. But golly, this weather has just made me want to work inside all the time. So that was really one of the other reasons that I started back making my soaps is because I need to think about in the next 10 years, I got a bad knee and uh, I dislocated my shoulder a couple of years ago, so it still kind of bothers me. So I need to choose some things to do that's not going to tax my knees. Uh, According to the orthopedic, I'm too young to have a knee replacement. So I'm thinking, why is he making me wait any longer? And I froze up. Can't believe I froze up. I'm not sure what happened, y'all. I did not touch. The tab is using your camera or your microphone. What tab? My live stream is supposed to. Okay, now I'm working again. I don't know. I froze for a second. Um, so anyway, before I even got started this morning, y'all, the goats are out in the road. And they're not even my goats. uh, Four of my son's goats, he lives down in the woods. So they have figured out if they push on his electric gate, they can get their fat little bodies through that gate. And I haven't even had my coffee. Christy says I put water in an old clawfoot tub for a hurricane when I was just married. All the water leaked out. Really? But you were trying. You were trying really hard. A lot of things I did when I first married, I didn't even know how to boil water. Honestly, I did not. I did not do any cooking when I was growing up. My sister did all that cooking, Donna. I worked outside. I was the outdoorsy thing. So anyway, my granddaughter starts beating on the door. Nana, Nana, hurry, there's goats in the road. And she was trying to get to college and she said, I'm going to be late for school. So I jump in the Jeep and I run over to the garden and they see me coming and they hightailed it. I didn't know their fat little tails could run so fast, but they started hightailing it back down the driveway and it's about a quarter of a mile to the fence. So they were up in the garden just munching on stuff that I had left that I haven't cleaned up yet, and they were hightailing it. And by the time I got to the gate, most of them were already squeezed back in. And then I had, hey, how are you doing? Gumdrop for Eva. Nice to see you. So I started out before my coffee with chasing goats down and getting them back in. And then I thought, well, that was only four. I better go and make a count because he has 10. And I want to make sure they're not down in the woods. although I did not want to trek down in the woods. But yesterday he caught this big snake near his quail pens. My grandson, he's 8. He he filmed it for me. He had to send it to me. I get the heebie-jeebies when it comes to snakes, and uh, it didn't look like a chicken snake to me, but they said it was a king snake. So I don't know, but I didn't get near it at all. But so chasing down goats, I made a count. Everybody's there, and I thought I've got to go and get some coffee and have my breakfast, and I made a couple of loaves of soap because I've got that festival coming up this weekend, and I want to have a good variety for everyone. And so, but hey, Lulu's Treasures, how are you? It's nice to see you. I watched your last one on replay because I missed the live. Um, Sometimes I'm just working outside and all I can do is listen. Good. I'm glad you're doing good. Um, Tomorrow is I'm finally going to get my impressions for my top plates. I have been going to the dentist all year since February is my first appointment, and they will not make appointments like they make you wait at least a month and sometimes 2 months. So I had all my dental surgeries, and I made 4 trips to Augusta. And that's a 45-minute drive each way for me, besides the gas. So tomorrow, I think while I'm over there, I'm gonna actually hit Hobby Lobby. I don't get to check Hobby Lobby very often, but there may be something that I just can't live without, and it's on sale. So, but I do have to make use. And I also there is a new friend that I made is she bought some goats from me, and she said that I could have some of her recycled oil out of her French fryers. So I want to touch base with her. See, Cindy says, congratulations on your win. I can't recall what you won, but I recall watching the video where your name was drawn. I was cheering when I saw your name. Um, was that on Crafting Kitty? Because I know I did win something on Crafting Kitty. Sometimes I don't get the notifications, even though y'all know that we all hit that bell and we're supposed to get notifications, but you don't always. So I'm gonna have to go back and double check everyone. But I know Crafting Kitty, I did win some yarn, and I also won some things from the Last Chance Cook Off. Oh, I can't wait! A lot of rubs and um. Uh oh. This is my neighbor. Hello? Yeah, yeah. Are the goats still out there? I mean, are they back? Okay, okay. All right. I appreciate you letting me know that, Mike. Thank you. I got 'em back in. I did. I know they heard me. They were running. So I just wanted to make sure they didn't get out again because I'm down in the woods and I want to make sure. Okay, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Okay, good deal. All right, thanks, Mike. Uh-huh. That's my nice neighbor telling me my goats were out this morning. Um, but I didn't get the message until later. Let's see. Cindy says it may have been, I really don't recall, but yes, it probably was. Um, I may have been the cook off because you watch them both. Yeah, I did the live. Oh, that's a neat phone holder. That's actually my tripod. I had it hooked up to it because I was watching on my other channel. I figured I might as well get the time. Oh, y'all know the pecans are starting to fall in Georgia. This morning, I picked up, well, let's see, yesterday I picked up a half of a feed bucket um, There's my pecans. I picked up probably 20 this morning that had fell overnight. These are Stewart pecans. Um, some of them, well, and now some of them are called Moneymaker. That is another tree that I have up front. So I'm starting to pick up pecans, and I'm so excited because last year we had none to speak of. The year before, I had about 200 pounds of pecans. And I have 12 trees, then they're scattered all over the property. Oh, yes, I love them. And of course, my goats love the leaves and they like them green, but they love them dried too. Um, so I always know it's time for fall when the pecans start dropping. But I have to go out there every day though, because the chickens will scratch and they'll cover them up. And this year I definitely want to make sure that I don't miss it. Um, we had Dadgummit, the fox came back yesterday. She's not been around for a week, and I saw her in the camera, but she didn't stay long, so maybe the dogs ran her off. Christy says I used to take me 6 months to get appointments with your sister specialist. Yeah, I don't know. It's like when you go in there's nobody in the waiting room. It's like you could have maybe, let me come in early. Although they did call me one time and say they had an appointment if I had was free, could I get in there? And I said, well, can you give me 45 minutes because I will be there. So I did do that. But now last week, I think I showed you some of my let's see what you say, Gummy Doolittle. It's about 68 degrees here in central Arkansas, and it's getting down into the 40s at night here now. Where are you, and what is your low temps right now? Um, yeah, Gummy, she is in California, and she'll tell you in a second. So these are some of the soaps that I'm going to take to the festivals, and I'll ask you a question in a minute. Oh no, that's okay. Um, we repeat ourselves all the time because some of you didn't come in the very beginning, so you missed. Yes, Christy, those are rascal goats. I mean, they know. And the man who called me, he's in a wheelchair, so he can't really help me get them in. But as soon as I started that car, they're like, took off. It's like, it's kind of like kids getting caught doing something they're not supposed to. This is one of my soaps. If you saw any of the videos where I refined and I processed the tallow, the raw tallow, this is the first bar of tallow that I made. And it's a nice hard bar. And you can see this center part here. I put it in the refrigerator to cool it off because it was very hot. And and this is an unscented bar. This is the color it was. I put no colorants in it, so it's really a pretty yellow. Yes, it's awesome to have a good neighbor too. And I do love making these soaps. So this is one that I'm going to take. I do a lot of unscented, and I'll tell you in a second. Now this is the second one that I made. I decided to try um my technique and do a little swirl. And they weigh about 4 ounces. And this is something that Gummy didn't realize that when you have fresh soaps, until they get about 4 to 6 weeks old, they will keep shrinking because they're losing the water that's in them, and they'll get harder. So your soaps are cured at 4 to 6 weeks, although you can use them immediately. So they are soap, and the lye has dissipated. It's not going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, I've washed my hair with the soap that's less than a week old, and it did not even burn my eyes like the soaps that you get at the grocery store. That was the second one. And so Donna told me I needed to do one, maybe a holiday one. So I tried 3 colors. This is red, so it's hard to see, but this one is red. You can see a little bit of those little dots there. Those are air bubbles. But you know what? It's a hand cut soap. it's handmade soap. So this is tallow also. These are all the tallows. I'm trying to see how many bars of soap I will get out of that 30 pounds of raw tallow that I processed. So this one is red and white and green, although you can't really tell how red that is. It looks like a piece of meat, doesn't it? It doesn't look like that in person. But and then this one I call Frankenstein because it's green and it's still this one I made last night. So it will still change some more colors. And this black is charcoal. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of charcoal. And charcoal is very good for your skin, actually. Um, Very good. You like that one? Um, it's Halloween. You know, I got to do a little bit of holiday. This one that I just cut this morning is turmeric and paprika. And it also has buttermilk in it, a couple of tablespoons of dried buttermilk, a powdered buttermilk. Oh, I'm glad you came in. So glad you came in. You like that one too? So I will have on my little Wendy's daydreaming, I'll have the clips where I cut them so you can see all because the swirls and the patterns do change with every bar. I hope you have a good week, the rest of the week, Lulu or Sandy. Uh, and there's one other um, bar that actually I have not even cut yet. And it's still, I've had to bring it with me because I needed to cut it before I go back to the house. Because tallow, I found out it hardens very quickly. So you have to cut it within um, within 4 hours. If you wait too long, you're going to struggle with it. And I can't use the cheese cutter if it's that long because then it would break. And this one is going to be, and it's hard to tell in there, but it's actually pink and silver. So when I cut it, it should have some swirls in it too. But the thing is, it's not quite ready to pull away. It's still warm, but so I did bring it just because I may have to cut it before I go back home. Um, my question is, for anybody who's interested, when you buy homemade soaps, do you prefer to buy unscented or scented? Because I'm not a big heavy fragrance soap. Now I don't wear cologne unless I'm, going somewhere real fancy, and that happens very rarely. Um, but if I'm going to church or something, then I might put a little bit of fragrance on. I kind of feel like the little girl on Little House on the Prairie, the lemon verbena or the vanilla. Those are kind of my scents, something very mild. Uh, no, it's not goat's milk soap. It is buttermilk. Mainly because I could not find powdered goat's milk in our Walmart. Apparently, there's a shortage on formula, apparently. And so I used a couple of tablespoons of the powdered goat's milk, I mean, powdered buttermilk, which it looks just like the goat's milk. So it makes it a little creamier. All of these soaps are tallow. The last two have a little bit of castor oil in them, which it'll make them a little bit more sudsy. Um, the next video I do when I'm cutting soaps, I'll do a suds test at the end so you can see the suds test. But I love milk soaps, and you can use coconut milk, goat's milk, buttermilk. You can use half and half, even fresh milk, anything that doesn't have sugar in it, because the sugar will cause it to seize up really fast. That's what happened to this one that I have not cut yet. I put the milk in it, and then I realized that I didn't quite have my liner in my box, so I had to stop and do the liner, and I almost seized up on me. It got real thick, but it's still you could still use it. Um, Christy says, "I would think that tallow would be moisturizing for the skin." Yes. See, tallow is this is beef tallow, and you have the pork fat or the lard. This is the way they made it in the old days. You know, they didn't have anything fancy. If they colored their soap, which I think rarely they did, it would have been a natural colorant. Um, I have some aloe that I'm going to do some aloe soap probably before Christmas, and I'm growing the aloe. You can use that. Um, but I just love the milk soaps. I like the way they feel. I don't use any other oil other than vegetable, coconut, olive oil, and the tallow right now. Um, you know, if you go in and you start ordering all these oils, some of them come in these big, like 2 gallon, 5 gallon containers. I mean, they're huge. And if you buy small amounts, they're pretty pricey. So right now I'm going as cost efficient as I can. And I did get the used vegetable oil from one of the local restaurants, and I'm supposed to get some more from a different restaurant. Actually, they're in South Carolina, but they're right over the border from Georgia, so it's not a biggie. Since I'm going to be at the dentist anyway in the morning, and I might even have lunch at their barbecue restaurant. When she came to buy some baby goats a couple of weeks ago, she brought me two dinners. Um, and it had, oh my gosh, the ribs were so good. And it had, what did it have? Oh, it had collard greens was in mine, and she put a couple of ribs in it, and she put some hash and rice. So if you don't know about that, that's a big thing in the South is hash and rice. And hash is just several meats all chopped up together. No, you don't do heavenly scents either. Okay. Um, that was what I was wondering. And I know guys, they don't want all that frilly stuff. You know, when they're washing, they want something that's not going to make them smell like a flower. You know, they're manly. The one that I have been looking into and I've done a little research. I used to think that I didn't like it was patchouli, and patchouli is actually an herb, and it's really good for your skin. So I may have to think twice about that. I have neem oil that you can use to make soaps also, but any of the homemade soaps. Hey, how are you doing, Susan, at the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch? So nice to see you. I have been trying to catch up on your videos. So if I don't say anything, it's because I'm outside working and I'm listening. I'm just listening, and I just put it on and I just listen. So I'm glad you're here today. We were just talking about the benefits of homemade soap. Um, so they really homemade soaps are really moisturizing. There's no chemicals in it. I use a basic recipe. Um, you know, like I said, I don't do any of the fancy butters, and if I had shea butter, that's really nice, and it does make a really nice addition. You don't put a lot in it, but mostly olive oil, coconut oil, the recycled oil, and the beef tallow. So those are the ones that I have been using most. You're taking a break. Yeah, sometimes we need to take breaks. I was just saying how I'm so glad that fall's here because I'm getting to where I just don't like to work in the heat at all. But for so far, the soaps that I made this week has got to be this turmeric and paprika one. You can even see the little specks of paprika in there. Um, and it's very mild. It just almost smells like your clothes on a clothesline. It just smells really fresh. and so it's not strong, but I don't know if somebody wanted heavy scents. Now I don't have any lavender, but that is one of the most popular fragrances in soaping is lavenders, oranges, lemons. Um, my sister was talking about roses that she bought one on their travels and it smelled like roses. Well, I could get roses and then I could dry the petals and then I could make the powder and then it's real easy to use the powder. And if they're real fragrant roses, then it would really make your soap smell nice, although the guys wouldn't like it. Susan says patchouli is a strong fragrance. A little goes a long way. Yes, and maybe that's why I always thought I didn't like it because it just seems so strong to me. And then I started doing some research on it, and everyone was warning about using too much because then it just almost burns your eyes. It's just so strong. But it's an herb. I do have some comfrey leaves that have been dried, and I also I don't have any calendula, but that is very good for to put in soap. It's very good for your skin. Also, there's a couple of others that I want to put some, and I can make my own essential oils. I have some right now. I have some goldenrod, but I don't know if I can use that in soap. But but it's good for you. So it's all good for you. Susan likes sage. And sage is not something that I had just thought about. Um, I had one that was that I ran across, and she did. Um, shoot, I forget what it was. Um, it was not sage; it was rosemary, and I'm thinking, a rosemary soap? I don't know about that. But I mean, they use a lot of different ones. My sister wanted me to see if I could find something with pomegranate. There's not much out there in pomegranate smells. Um, One of her children liked the pomegranate, and I do like fruity smells, but not really strong. I think I could live with the rose if it's not really strong too. Christy says I'm sitting outside to get a signal, eating crackers, and the chickens are begging. Oh my gosh, if I'm outside and I'm eating something, the chickens will jump right up on my chair. It's like, they get right up in your face and hope that you drop a crumb so they can have it. But so the sage is a good idea. Lemons and limes, all the citrus they're very popular, the citrus ones. And frankincense is very popular, but some of those are just too strong for me. And now if I had someone, and really my whole basis is to make natural soaps. And I'm trying to use natural ingredients. Now this one I used mica that I had when I made soaps a couple of years ago. I still had some. And the big thing now is clay, different kinds of clay. And I don't have any of it, but it would be something to think about. Oh, you made popcorn on the stove. Oh, that sounds good. So these colors are just made with clays. They're not made with fragrances. Um, Popcorn sounds really good this time of day. Um, Although kettle corn is really one of my favorites, but I'm trying to cut back on the sweets. So, but this turmeric one almost smells like pumpkin, almost. Although I didn't know turmeric had that type of smell. Now paprika's in it also, so it may be the combination. And it's not the smoky paprika. But those are the soaps that I'm making for the festival this weekend, and I haven't really done any for Christmas. But I'm thinking about doing some for Christmas. Um, Other than that, I guess most of it that I've been doing is packing up the office. I got to get it finished, and I got to get my bathtub because he's already got 2/3 of the floor in the bathroom and the pantry done. So just a little bit more of he's got to hook the drain up to the shower, but he's got it all framed in. And you know, it will have a glass in it eventually, but I think I'm just going to put a shower curtain in it for now until he's done, because I don't want it to accidentally get broken with moving boards. And you know how it is when you move boards and you could be banging stuff. I really don't want to put my glass in the shower yet. Um, and I've been looking for a cabinet to put my sink bowl. I have one of those frosted sink bowls that the kids gave me for my birthday a couple of years ago, and we just never got our remodeling done. But I'm almost to the point where I think I'm going to use a buffet that I have, and it's an older buffet, but it's really not an antique. My grandmother got it at just a secondhand store, but I will have to cut the legs off in order to make a cabinet. But everybody that has a cabinet that would work, they want $700 or $800 for them. And honestly, when I was refinishing furniture, I never asked that much for painted pieces or reconditioned pieces. I just never did. The most I got out of one probably was $400, and it was really a big piece. But that's probably why I sold so much furniture, because I was reasonable in my redone pieces. So I am going to get the bathtubs done, because when he gets ready to put that wall in there, I want to make sure my bathtubs are ready. Christy says, I just made, oh, I like rosemary smell, but some people don't like it. I bought a new plant a couple of weeks ago for 75% off. Oh, that was a good buy. I haven't really checked. My Walmart doesn't have anything. Instead of trying to sell them, they just throw them in the trash can. It's kind of crazy. Um, but I haven't found anything that was not an annual, you know. Susan says that will be pretty. We took an old sewing machine base for our sink and used marble top for it. Yes. And when I was doing the refinishing, we did use an old sewing machine base, the treadle, to make side tables. And one of them we used a marble piece, and one we used, it was like a concrete, it almost looked like it was poured. It was oranges and rust, and it was beautiful. It looked like a rock, a petrified rock, and it was so pretty. And I couldn't sell the petrified rock, but I put it on that table, and I ended up getting $350 for it, because it was so pretty. And it was all I mean, it was all like it had a coating like shellac or something on it. It was sealed. It was the most gorgeous little table, and I almost hated that I got rid of it. So we have used those sewing machine bases for several. As a matter of fact, one of the pieces that's going into my bathroom is, it looks like the dresser part of a washstand. um there's not, and I think it might have been. So I am going to paint that piece, because it's a different kind of wood, and it needs a little bit of work, so it will look better if it's painted. And but the buffet, I probably am not going to paint it, because I'm going to use the 100-year-old mirror that I have over it. It's a fireplace mirror, so I'm going to use that one over it. And I want the pieces to kind of match a little bit. Susan says it was a treadle that belonged to my foster dad's mother. It was a nice way to save and use the piece. Yeah, and I talked to my sister about this, about using my grandmother's piece. It's the only piece that's left. The other kids didn't need it or didn't have room for it. And when my mother had it, I said, "Well, if you ever get rid of that, I want that piece." Well, when she passed away, she said, "Well, put your name in it." And she was really joking, but I put my name in it. "When you're done with this, pass it to me. I think it would look nice." And Donna said she thought that mom would be very pleased that I used it in a way that I'll see it every day. I will lose the drawers in the center of it because he's gonna have to put the bowl on it, and, so I will lose that part of it, but I'll still have the side parts. There's like cabinet doors that open up. So and the front of it is actually really pretty. But it's a lightweight piece. It's not real heavy, but I think I can make it work and make it still look like I want it to look like a farmhouse bathroom. I don't want it to look all the bells and whistles. I just want a farmhouse bathroom with an antique tub, and the shower is the newest thing, but my husband has to have a shower. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to save two walls on the shiplap, so that will be nice to kind of add to the vintage look bathroom. So yeah, I'm excited about it to finally get it together, and hopefully we'll get in that bathroom by Christmas. We're hoping. So we want to get it all done. Yes, I do too, Christy. I love the vintage farmhouse look. And I mean, even in the kitchen, we're going to remove all of those. I call them fake cabinets because they're particle board with that plastic stuff on them, and I absolutely just detest those things. And because really they get stains on them, you can't really clean them once you get something on there. They'll wipe down, but there's a point where they start yellowing, so I don't like them. But we're going to use those mahogany planks that I have out in the barn. I think I have about 30 of them, and we're going to make the cabinets and the shelving, open shelving, no shelving on top of the kitchen. Other than maybe a whatnot shelf just to put my rooster chicken cookie jar, and just to kind of dress it up like it's a farmhouse kitchen. But I really um I want to do that. I'm moving the sink is in the middle of the room, and I'm moving it back to the window because that's where it originally was by the windows. And when you wash dishes, you've got to be able to look outside the window. Am I the only one that's like that? I like looking out while I'm doing the dishes. Susan says we need to finish our master bath and redo the guest bathroom. Need tubs, shower stalls, and new flooring and subflooring. Now we did. We've had to put new subflooring in because the floors were all uneven. You could you could put an egg on the top and it'd roll all the way to the bottom. And ask my children when they come over, it's like you got to fix that toilet because when you sit on it, you felt like you're like this. And because it was on an angle. So yes, we had to put all new flooring and oh yeah, the mahogany wood. Y'all know where I got this mahogany wood. If you've been on here before, I may have told you. Um, there was an old general store in downtown Augusta that they were going to tear it down. And some friends of ours, he was one of the auctioneers that we went to the auctions a lot. And he asked us, he said, "Are y'all interested in any wood shelving?" He said, "I'm thinking they're mahogany." He said, "So if you're interested in any wood shelving," he said, "my friend gave me the building to pull out anything I wanted to before they tear it down next week." So we went down there and we got as much as we could get. And so I've had it laying flat in my barn, and the boards are about 12, they're at least 12 inches wide, um, and maybe 6 feet long. So we should have plenty to make the shelving in the kitchen and maybe even the pantry. So we might even be able to pull it into the pantry also. Christy says, "I can't stand not having a window over the sink." Okay, I thought that was just me, and Susan too. I like looking out doing the dishes. But sometimes when you're out there doing the dishes, that's when I realize something's going on outside that I need to be outside. It's like, oh my gosh, the cows are standing there looking at me. They're not supposed to be there. So yeah. Christy says, "I love auctions, but haven't been to one in years." And we used to go every week. There was an auction at this one auction house every Friday night, and we would go, and this is where I picked up a lot of my good furniture that I redid, and I did that for 10 years, and I absolutely loved refinishing furniture. So, but y'all, one day I'm going to make a list of all of the things that I have done because I've always, now my sister will tell you, I've always been the one that was crafty and that did this and that. She does so. But there's a lot of other things that I've done that she has not done. So I would like to make a list of everything that I have done. A list was found when my older sister passed away. A list was found in her house of all the things that she had done as far as arts and crafts, and it was amazing. Um, that's a good size. Yeah, Susan, it is. Christy says my friend likes watching her horses out her kitchen window. And Susan says, I would love to get my hands on an old wood oak flooring. Yes, this bathroom that we're doing, it had porch flooring. It was like it was really the boards weren't very wide, but and they were in really good shape, and I hated that I had to cover them up. But they were so, I mean, we're talking like this. So there was no way I could put my new bathroom in there. So we did have to put the new subfloor in there, but we didn't tear those out. But there is at least two rooms in the other portions of the house that I feel like just by sneak peeking that there's some wood floors under there. And if there are, then I'm going to get those sanded down and we're going to refinish them and keep them because I would love to have at least one room in this old farmhouse. I mean, 1936, there should be some wood floors under there. So yeah, I'm excited to find out what's under the rest of them because there's carpet, linoleum, more linoleum, um, who knows, maybe even a subfloor, but underneath somewhere there's some wood floors, and I want to at least have one room with the old wood floors if I can. Um, so, but we were really lucky to get those mahogany planks, and honestly, I think we might have paid $5 or $6 a board. I mean, this was 7, 8 years ago. So I've been holding on to them that long, knowing that I wanted to use them for something. And so we've stored them in the barn, but they're all stacked on top of each other, so we don't have any buckling or anything. And they're covered up. So I'm really excited. I do have a farmhouse kitchen, and y'all may know it has like one sink, and on the side, it has that little grating to where if you wash dishes, it drains back into the sink. I have a pretty good size vintage sink that I'm going to use in the kitchen also. Susan says, awesome. Yes, there should be wood floors. Yes, we had a 1930s house with the old oak floors. And yeah, and I'm thinking if it's not oak, it may be pine, but they used heart pine then and for things like that. I love 100-year-old houses. Christy says the 100-year-old house I lived in Kansas had beautiful woodwork and horsehair in the walls. Yeah, actually, I've refinished a rocking chair, a sewing chair once, and the seat had horsehair in it uh, as as stuffing. So I mean, it's really cool. Hey, Danny, how are you? You should be fired. You are so late, girl. Let's see. I was early, so I think it all balances out. But I'm glad you're here anyway. Hey, Nisi, how are you? How's your job? I'm glad you stopped to say hi. Um, I hadn't seen how your job is doing yet, but I hope you're happy with it and doing well. So yeah, horsehair, it was used a lot in, I mean, stuffing and you know, you let's see. It's been a good day. Good. I'm glad, Nisi. Um, in the in the parlor of this house, the granddaughter did live next door. She has passed away in the last year, but she told me all about the house when her grandparents lived in it. Her granddaddy built the house for grandmama, and grandmama was 4'8", so all of the kitchen cabinets were lower. And so when they quit living in there, someone came and pulled them all out, and I just hate that. They pulled them all out And something come up on my face and I couldn't see. So when they pulled them all out and they trashed them, it just kind of ruined it, the kitchen, and to modernize it like that, because the whole house still just, its aura is 1936. You can't make, a sparkly house. You need a farmhouse when you have a 1936 house. So, but this is kind of what we're aiming to get to. And my husband's like, okay, when we get most of this house done, he said, I'm retiring. And then he's going to work on the workshop that I want to put my workshop back together. Right now it has chicken incubators in it, and I'm downsizing, so I've been selling some of the incubators. So I want to be able to take my soaps outside and um, have a workshop again and be able to, work out there when I want to without the chickens being up underneath me. Danny says she grew up in an old house. Yeah, you know, I've just all I remember is I thought they were old houses, but now I can appreciate how they were built. They were tough, and some of these houses are still standing. Unfortunately, our log cabin from the 50s that my dad built it burned down after some cousins got a hold of it and lived in it. Um, and my sister Gummy was actually born in that log cabin. She was the only one that was born there. So I mean, I've always had a love for the vintage look. But yeah, at one time we just thought they were old, but now we call them vintage because we're vintage. Well, I'm getting close to it, you know. So, y'all, this is my anniversary month. You know, these days the kids don't stay married long, but we will be married 44 years. And it seems like a long time, but we're too old to start over. Danny says, I wish the house I was raised in was taken better care of. There was a leak in the roof and now the ceiling's falling in. And it is sad to see something like that. Um, about 10 years ago, my husband and I went to the original 10 acres that my dad owned, and that's where he built the log cabin. And the pond was still there. Thank you. Thank you. It's the 22nd. It's still a ways away. Um, and that's another whole story about how I met my husband. Maybe I'll share that on my anniversary. But the pond was still there, even an oak tree. And later I found out that I found a diagram that Jack had drawn for us. And he had drawn it for me when I started doing genealogy. And I asked him if he remembered anything about the old place. He was the oldest. And he drew a big old oak tree, and they called it the butchering tree. That's what he called it on the drawing. And he showed me where the pig pens was at. Uh, there was like 6 gardens, and one of them was a flower garden that my dad took care of. Everyone who visited would bring him bulbs and flowers to plant, and he loved the flowers and the garden. Christy says, my sister and brother-in-law have been married over 50 years. Unfortunately, I picked wrong. Like, yeah, I know. Sometimes you just never know. Sometimes it lasts 20 years and then it's over. But, and then sometimes like these days, some of them don't even make it to the couple of years. And, that 7-year itch, that thing. Uh, a lot of them are like, well, if we make it 7 years, we'll be okay. But it's not always that way anymore. But you know, so but most of my siblings have been married many years, many. Um, a couple of them have divorced and remarried, and then their second spouse turned out to be the one that they should have probably married the first time. But so I don't know, that's what we're doing now is, just trying to make it comfortable. We're both 66 and we're just trying to make it comfortable. So in the next few years that, we have to think about, are we going to be able to take care of everything that we've got going? We're going to have to scale back, slow down, but we still want to do some things that we're really happy about doing and that keep us busy, because neither one of us want to sit and watch TV all day. And sometimes you don't have anything to do, and that is your entertainment. Well, right now, YouTube is my entertainment because I don't have cable TV. Danny said Halloween makes year 9 for me and mine. Oh, wonderful. So you got an anniversary too. I don't know about going strong, but we're going. Well, we all have ups and downs. You know, uh, my husband is not a confrontational guy. So if I wanted to pick a fight, I had to pick it. And if I wanted to throw something, those little Tupperware lids worked really good, really good. So I never threw anything that would break. But it's like, just argue with me. Go ahead and just argue with me. Tell me what you're thinking. So he's the kind that, he'll just shrug his shoulders and walk away. He's never been that way, and he got that from his mother. She was that way. And but it's kind of sweet, but it's like, some days you just need to argue about something. So yeah. That's kind of it. But so you know we just keep on arguing. Now my sister that passed away, the oldest sister, Elwanda, she was married 61 years. And when she lived in Oklahoma, and she got the West Nile virus from mosquitoes, and it attacked her mind, because she was in early onset of Alzheimer's, which we did not know. And from the day she had the high fever, uh, she didn't know any of us. So for 3 years, she did not know us before she passed. Danny says, when I was 22, he was perfect, not so much when I was 31. We have both improved quite a bit, but as we grow, it seems we grow apart. I have changed a lot more than him. Yeah, we get different interests. We do. Christy says that's how Tupperware lids disappear. Absolutely. They do disappear. Marriage number 2 for Susan was a success and going on 22 years. Yeah, see, sometimes it's just like that. That first one is like, we were so young. Well, we were 21 when we got married. So we were young. And he was married before for a couple of years, and it was a disaster. So, but no children involved. So all the children we have are ours. But yeah, when my kids start, well, the youngest one hasn't reached 40 yet, but the 2 older ones are like, oh, they're over 40 and they don't even want to talk about it. Danny says it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around starting all over. Oh yeah, there is no way, no way. Um, I've got plenty to do. Hello, Chuck and Belinda, or Chuck or Belinda. How are you? I hope the weather is good where you're at. So yeah, we're not starting over. Um, when we married, um, we did not know each other very well, but we got married anyway. And my sister cut my wedding dress out and sent it to Oklahoma. I was living in Oklahoma. I was helping my brother raise parakeets, and so I left California. I decided that I wanted to get out and see something besides California, so I went back to Oklahoma to live with him for a few months and was raising parakeets. And soon after that, I met my husband, and we've been married, like I said, 44 years this year. So yeah, there's no way I'd start over. I've got plenty of things to do. YouTube's entertaining, very entertaining. So yeah, but we do kind of grow apart sometimes at different points. When the children were all in the house, it was all about taking care of them, and there was a lot to do for a housewife. And, back in the beginning, I didn't work. And going to work was probably one of my biggest faults is I should not have gone to work because we really didn't get ahead. We just got more rushed and I had to have a car, had to have clothes, and there was just things. Oh, thank you. There was just things that we created more uh bills by me going to work. And if I'd have stayed home, then you got a daycare and I mean, there's just so much more to it. But I did work for 20 years and then I retired at 45. Finally, it's like, okay, I'm done. If I don't have to work, then I'm tired of having to worry about another car, another insurance, another, having clothes and getting my hair done every week. So yeah, I kind of got tired of that rat race. Chuck says we're having to get used to being with kiddos all the time after around 30 years. A little more difficult than I thought. We still have one at home, but he's never here. Yes, without kiddos. Um, yeah, I mean, at first, we actually have not been on our own. We've always had either someone living with us or visiting or long-term visiting for many years. And so in the last 6 years, no, not even 6 years, the last 2 years, we are finally on our own. It's like, okay, what are we going to do now? You know, there's, you know, got married, had kids, you got your kids for 18 years at least, sometimes longer. Christy says, I used to have a parakeet that loved Emmylou Harris. Oh, well, at least it loved someone nice and maybe sang nice. Uh, Someone we knew had a African gray or something, and it had cuss words in its vocabulary. It's like really, and they always used them when someone was around, of course. But I mean, we had the children, and once the children are out of the house, then we brought his mother with us. She lived with us a couple of years before she passed. My daughter divorced, and she moved back in with her kids, and then when we moved out to the farm, it's like we always had somebody. When we moved out to the farm, then my daughter and her family lived in the second bedroom of the farmhouse while we were building her house. She moved into her house, and then the youngest one came and lived in that second bedroom until we finished his house. So we've really only been alone for 2 years. So we've always had someone around and, to do stuff for. So yeah, Chuck says it's nice to be able to take off by ourselves for small vacations without the concern of ourselves, without managing the kids. But weird in the evenings when things slow down. Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, okay, what do you want for supper? I don't care. When I had people in the house, I just made supper and they ate it or they helped make it. So there was no, what are we going to have for tonight? I just made whatever was available and no one complained. And some nights it was their night to cook, and they would cook. So, but yeah, it's like, okay, what do you want to watch? Oh, I don't care. Whatever you want to watch. So yeah, it's like, okay, something's different because you're not being dictated to or other things. The kids are, going to bed early and taking baths and there's always something going on, but all of a sudden we're alone. And I guess that's why I enjoy making soap. After my husband goes to bed at 8 o'clock at night, so I can't go to bed before midnight. So I have to have something to do. And I used to read a lot. Danny says that's kind of where I'm at, even though it's a long while from now. I am trying to think of what life will be like without Emma here. I might lose it. Yeah, um, it's almost a relief. It's like, but you worry so much about them being on your own. It's true, you do. um Christy says I worked some part-time jobs when the kids were little. Yeah, I mean, I did medical billing for when my kids were 3 and 4 years old. That's when I went to work. That was my mistake, was going to work then. But times were hard in Arkansas, and, he worked for the electrical union, and there were jobs were really tough right then. So I went to work, and he actually did chores at home, take care of the kids. If he had little jobs like cutting grass or whatever he did it when I was home doing stuff. And I worked in at midnight shift in a factory making it was housing for irons, the plastic part. I worked in a plastics factory in Arkansas. And when I would get off at 7:30 in the morning, that I would sleep and he would take care of the kids because they were 3 and 5 years old. He would take care of them and I would wake up, literally wake up with laundry all over the bed because he would do the laundry, but he wouldn't fold it. So he just threw it on the bottom of the bed, and I would wake up with this laundry that now is wrinkled. But I never said anything because I was happy to have the help. So Chrissy says, I just work some part time job. Oh, yeah, I read that about the kids. So, until I decided, okay, then I need to go back for continuing education. I never went to college and never had the opportunity, but I did go to secretarial school after that. I thought, ooh, working in a factory at night and it was really dangerous work too because when those big giant molds opened up you had to reach in really quickly and get the part off of the you had to remove it quickly because then the door would close. So I mean you couldn't not pay attention, but it was actually a dangerous job. And now I think about it, it's like, how in the world did I do that? And but I worked nights and he got up and worked during the day. So we did what we had to do. And until we came to Georgia, then we came to Georgia right after that because he got a job out at Plant Vogel, which, was in construction then. For anybody, y'all live in different parts of the country, so but it's a nuclear generating station. Um, so yeah, that's what brought us to Georgia, but it was work. It was basically work. But I still did the medical billing for quite a while after that. So, Gummy says I raised three grandkids in my 50s. They were 22, 7, and 9, and now gone and in 21 and up. Now we raise a 7-year-old great grandson, Turtle, who is autistic, nonverbal. So she's on her third generation of raising um, family, and it's time to retire. I'm thinking it's time to retire. Um, but yeah, I mean, luckily she was able to take him when was necessary, or he would have ended up in the system um, and never known her grandson. And he is a joy, really a joy. Um, Danny says we need to meet for lunch one day, Linda. Yeah, you know what? You're just in Alabama. I mean, Birmingham is 5 hours from me, you know. Um, so it's not really too bad. We've gone to my son's his boss lives in that's out of Birmingham. They're out of Birmingham. And he makes that trip often. Uh, Chuck says, not sure I could have the energy, Gummy Doolittle, but I guess you do what you have to do, especially when it comes to the grands. Yeah, and she's had some medical issues. Her husband's had some medical issues, but they've managed to get through this. Um, you know, you just do what you have to do and you don't really think about it. And I honestly, when I was working and raising young ones, I was probably a lot more intense. I probably had a shorter temper. Now it's like, oh, he's playing in the mud. That's good. His mother has to clean him up, not me. But yeah, so it is different when you're raising your own kids and when you're raising your grandkids, definitely. Uh, Danny said we can meet halfway whenever it's nicest and closest to the halfway mark. Yeah, laughing out loud. It would be a really nice it would be a nice day just to get away sometimes, absolutely. Gummy says, I never thought I had to. It just happened and you enjoy life. Yeah, and they do a lot of RV camping and um Donnie really loves camping, and he does really well traveling. She's brought him over here a couple of times to Georgia, and she really loves it. Um, so I mean, he really, and he does have to be cared for 24/7 because he's a runner, and if you're not paying attention, he'll be gone because he likes to explore. So, yes, but he does go to school, so that does give her a break during the day now. So with him going to school, so that really does help. Yeah, she's one in a million, I gotta say. Just really. Even though we're 2,079 miles away, and I know that because we track each other. And we do that just out of safety because when I was traveling, she would know where I was at. If she's traveling, I know where she's at. So we really do that as traveling, as safety. But I forget sometimes that she's 3 hours difference in me. And occasionally my phone will accidentally butt call her and it's 5 in the morning there. And she's got to where now, unless I keep calling, she knows that it's just a mistake. But and sometimes she probably doesn't even hear it anymore. But it's like sometimes I forget if I want to say something to her. It's like, oh shoot, I gotta wait 3 hours before I can talk to her. And now she'll call me. uh it's like, yeah, we do, we chat daily and nightly. We work on a lot of projects together, and um we just kind of, I don't know, it's a bond that not all sisters have, and there's some sisters who live right next door to each other, and yet they do not communicate at all. They don't share their lives, and we do, we share our lives. um the boys, um, the two younger brothers. Now, one of them was Rick. He was here, um, well, not even 2 weeks ago. And he's on his way to another brother's house in Texas. So they're going to be gone like 6 weeks, and they're from California, so they've been on the road. So y'all keep them in mind with your prayers. They are on the road and have been for since the 1st of September. No, right after Labor Day. Yeah. So they've been on the road all of September, and now into October. But yeah, so we work on a lot of good projects. I have not put up my video about the rock house that I visited because I've been doing a little research on it and trying to find some pictures of it before it was remodeled. It is 254 years old approximately. It was uh, part of a Quaker settlement, and some of the inhabitants, the owners, were kin to our former president Jimmy Carter. But it is open for the public to go in and look at it, and I did make the video, and there was some unusual things that happened. It is supposed to be haunted, so it has there is quite a few videos online of it. Some of them are not very good and some are really informative, so I will put that up. Trying to decide to put it on my arts and crafts and travel channel or to put it on Little Wendy's, I mean, 6 acres. But so I am trying to decide where to put it. But it is things that happened while I was in there was really unusual. And I feel like something, but it was not a, what do you say? It was not a threatening occurrence. It felt friendly or calming almost. So it was not something that made me frightened. Um, Gummy says if we don't chat at night, then I keep a close eye on YouTube, and you keep me company on channels. And yeah, when she's doing work or whatever, she puts me up on the TV, y'all. It's like she bigifies me. What's that? That's a Jesse and a Lisa. No, that's not a Jesse and Lisa word. That's a Tony at Kettle Kitchen. He said he calls it bigified. Um, so yeah, she puts me on the big channel, and she really is a big supporter of my channel. And now that she's got her channel, she's been showing some of her RV travels and some of the travels with Donnie. Um, especially he is really, you can tell he's a happy child, and he's living a good life even if he doesn't know it. But definitely it's something to be proud of, that you'll be able to share that. So I mean, we'll be able to share. Once you're on YouTube, you're on it. You're on the internet. You can't get off of it. Even if you're not here, it's still going to be there. Hey, MB Heritage Farms, how are you? It's so nice to see you. I have just, I don't know. So this haunted house that I went through is called the Rock House, and it is in it it's not in my county, but it's like 7 miles from me. It's really close. And I really want to go back and film it again to see if the same thing happens that happened when I was filming it. But the first few rooms I went into, my camera was very clear. We were just, my brother was doing a lot of the talking too, so you can hear him. But it was very clear. I was really fascinated with the house and the rooms. It was really a beautiful house. And but we went into the third room, and there was an enormous fireplace. Um, and I was trying to film up in the fireplace, and all of a sudden my camera went totally black. And I don't know if I just got out of where there was no light, but usually your camera adjusts to lights, and uh, you can still hear me talking. And then when I came out of the fireplace, and like I say, I didn't go bodily into it. I just stuck my head in it and had my camera up in there because I was trying to see what was up in the fireplace. And there was a brick on I guess it probably was for the damper or something, but there was a brick hanging down. And when I came out of that fireplace, all of a sudden there's things swirling around me. And everybody that's seen it's like, those are bugs, but or dust particles. But I mean, but if you turn and you look at the front of your camera, so I went around, I looked in front of the camera to see what was in front of the camera, and there's nothing in front of the camera, but it is on my film. So y'all watch it, and um, I believe that there are spirits that still live in homes, and some have not passed on, but this was a settlement of almost, I think there was over 40 Quaker families that lived in this settlement at one time. And there was people living in the home, the Rock House, up until 1950s. So, it was inhabited for a lot of years, and it's pretty cool. I would live in it. I mean, I would live in it. Chrissy said, I'm gonna have to go jump off, charge this phone. Oh, I'm so glad you came. Yeah, I didn't realize it had already been an hour and a half. Um, I haven't done those big ones like Danny. She's done like 3 and 4 hours. Maybe when I hit 1,000, maybe that's something I can think about doing. But you kind of need a panel to help you keep conversation going, unless you're just naturally chatty. But I'm so glad you came. I'm glad all of you came. Y'all don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. That would help me greatly. And I will get off of here and let y'all get back to your day. And I will see you next week. Bye now.